Okay. Oh, God. What up, loungers? How are you all doing today? This will be the bit where we timestamp for people to come into the video. I'm stressed and tired, as you might be able to tell. I wanted to do this stream yesterday and then ended up getting just an hour of the blue fever that completely wiped me out and had like 20 hours of sleep. And I feel better today, but a bit like wired and still a bit pale and there, but well, we have shit we want to talk about, and we have shit. Oh no, what's all of this research done to me? Fuck. I have shit I want to talk about to all of you. My partner has done an insane amount of research over the last month and a half in regards to the history of DID. Basically, we had some questions. We wanted to know about the first diagnoses, the heads of the ISSTD, and just a bit about the history, because psychiatric mental health history is a fascinating subject to many of us. Little did we know, as if you've seen the Instagram post, that what we would discover is a tale of insane anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories dating back to the 1960s and 70s regarding just insane conspiracy theories. We didn't expect to find so many suicides and dead patients. We didn't expect to find so just the most horrific things I've ever come across. So thank you so much to my partner. I'm just gonna go ahead and start reading this for you. We'll pop it on the screen. Bam. Oh no, then I'm gone. Right, we'll just make me small. Hey, get small over here. There we go. Small in the corner, and just gonna crop my edges off. Crop left 100. Oh yeah. Okay, there we are. Now I'm a little box in the corner. Like every other streamer, just a box in the corner of the screen. Okay. Everything is Nazis at the bottom of the rabbit hole. Bro, let's just go. Let's just do it. Right. So, to start off, we're going to examine the history of satanic abuse. Then we're going to go over some key names and important figures within this timeline, and then we're going to just examine the timeline as it stands from the 1970s up until present day. When this stream is finished, I'm going to put this document in a Google Drive and link it in the description, along with all links, references, news articles, papers, studies. None of this has been pulled out of our arse. Everything in here has been written about by somebody else. All we have done is gone along and found the names and pieced together the story and just, let's go. History of satanic ritual abuse. Part 1. Originated in the USA in 1980 as the subject of moral panic. The Satanic Panic, first publicized in the now discredited book Michelle Remembers. Allegations of SRA involved reports of physical and sexual abuse of people in the context of occult or satanic rituals. In its most extreme form, allegations involve a conspiracy of a global satanic cult that includes the wealthy and powerful world elite, in which children are abducted or bred for human sacrifices, pornography, and prostitution. The panic affected lawyers, therapists, and social workers, handling of allegations of child abuse. Allegations initially brought together wildly dissimilar groups, including religious fundamentalists, police investigators, child advocates, therapists and clients, and psychotherapy. The term satanic abuse was more common early on. This later became satanic ritual abuse and further secularized into simply ritual abuse. It became more associated with dissociative identity disorder, then called multiple personality disorder, and anti-government conspiracy theories. The link between DID and SRA runs deep, with professionals such as clinical psychologist Catherine Gold stating in a 1992 paper, as a result of the psychologically intolerable nature of their early childhood experiences, victims of ritual abuse frequently develop multiple personality disorder. Therapists who treat these victims often assume that all MPD stems from a system of spontaneously created defenses against overwhelming trauma. As a result, these therapists tend to focus on treating the post-traumatic stress elements of the disorder and on integrating alter personalities. Recent experience with victims of ritual abuse suggests the presence of cult-created multiplicity, in which the cult deliberately creates alters personalities to serve its purposes, often outside of the awareness of the victim's host personality. This also links back to theories of how Russians had planted spies all across the US. There were Soviet spies all around the US who didn't know that they were spies because they'd been brainwashed, and upon a trigger word setting them off, they would go and start like killing, political leaders and things. It's obviously untrue. That never happened. Each cult-created alter is programmed to serve a particular cult function, such as maintaining contact with the cult, reporting information to the cult, self-injuring if cult injunctions are broken, and disrupting the therapeutic process that could lead to the individual breaking free of the cult. A majority of ritual abuse victims in psychotherapy may maintain cult contact unbeknownst to either the host personality or the treating therapist. Many therapists, such as Gold, have written hundreds of papers on the link between SRA and DID, playing on the moral panic it causes and cementing its place in modern-day medicine. Popularity and sensationalism of DID has grown again in current day, and the SRA theme still lies under the surface. Also, just to explain moral panic, it's basically what it sounds like, a public scare, a panic based purely from a place of moral principles that doesn't necessarily have any basis or foundation in science. Now, moral panics have, as with this, in certain cases led to good things. As you will see, the funding and investigations into child sexual exploitation and child sex trafficking were more than doubled in the UK and United States thanks to the moral panic of the satanic panic. But the truth behind it? Oof. Let's get to some important, part 2, important names. What are you just saying in the chat? Oh. Hope everyone is enjoying this. I don't know. Let's carry on. Important names. Lawrence Pazder, born in Edmonton, Alberta on April 30th, 1936, completed his undergraduate medical training at the University of Alberta in 1961, received a diploma in tropical medicine from the University of Liverpool in 1962, practicing medicine in Nigeria from 1962 to 1964. He was interested in African religions and rituals. He returned to Canada in 1964 and completed his psychiatric training at McGill University in 1968, devout Catholic. Pazder and his first wife, Marilyn, had 4 children together and were married for many years, until he developed a relationship with his patient, Michelle Smith. Court documents filed in the divorce proceedings indicated that between March 1977 and 79 and June 79, Pazder disappeared with Smith for lengthy periods of time. In 79, after a rejected attempt at annulment, Pazder divorced his first wife and married his former patient and co-author, Smith, credited with coining the term ritual abuse. Died 4th of March 2004. Michelle Smith, patient of Pazder, 27 years old when she sought treatment from Pazder in 1973. By 1976, when Pazder was treating Smith for depression related to having had a miscarriage, she underwent over 600 hours of hypnosis to recover memories. Yeah, in 1 year, which is more than 2 hours a day. Bizarre and extreme memories of alleged SRA surfaced, and they co-authored Michelle Remembers together. Her accounts of SRA have been debunked, divorced her husband to marry Pazder. Yeah. Carrying on. Ellen Bass, or Bass, I'm not sure. Poet and author of Courage to Heal, a book found to be involved in more than 40% of Australia's fraudulent false memory allegations. She appeared on Oprah. to spout wild claims unchallenged. Kathleen Key McFarlane, born in 1947 in America, received a bachelor's degree in fine arts at Denison University in Ohio, later received a master's degree in social work. After graduation, McFarlane became a lobbyist for the National Organization for Women and grant evaluator for the National Center for Child Abuse and Neglect, later becoming the director of Children's Institute International. McFarlane described herself as a psychotherapist, but lacked any professional licenses, involved in the McMartin preschool trial. Laurel Rose Wilson. Oh god, this bitch. A.K.A. Lauren Stratford, a.k.a. Laura Grabowski. Oh my god. Oh my god. Born in America, 1941, died April 2002. After college, Wilson worked as a public school music teacher, later lived in Bakersfield, California, becoming known within evangelical Christian churches there as a musician. She wrote 3 books under the pseudonym of Stratford, detailing her experience with satanic ritual abuse, claimed to have first-hand knowledge of high-profile cases of alleged satanic ritual abuse, but her claims were dismissed by investigators as unreliable and completely fabricated. The Christian magazine Cornerstone discovered Wilson's real name, family background, and that her stories of abuse were false. Wilson had a long history of mental illness and making false allegations of abuse. Wilson claimed to have given birth to 3 children as a result of rape. 2 were allegedly killed in snuff films, and the 3rd was sacrificed in her presence at satanic ritual. Cornerstone found no evidence that she had ever been pregnant or adopted a child. She was briefly involved in the McMartin preschool trial, claiming to have witnessed the abuses and to have been in an ongoing lesbian relationship with Virginia McMartin. Publishers withdrew her book from sale, and Wilson legally changed her name to Lauren Stratford. Oh yeah, and during this time when she was called Lauren Stratford, she also appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show to spout a whole load of bullshit completely unchallenged. In 1999, she created another false identity, Laura Grabowski, a Jewish survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau, and collected thousands of dollars in donations intended for Holocaust survivors. What a fucking cunt. She befriended another fake Holocaust survivor, Benjamin Wilkomirski, who was also outed as a fake, which aided in exposing Wilson as a fraud. But you see, together they were working as little lying sacks of shit. It's funny how similar all this really is actually to Fight Club. Catherine Gold, clinical psychologist, published a list of the symptoms seen in SRA cases, chairwoman of the Ritual Abuse Task Force, proponent of DID being caused by satanic ritual abuse, believed that herself and other members of the RATF were being gassed by with diazenon by Satanists, but could provide no evidence. Their officers were searched. These people are actually insane. Roland Summit, psychiatrist and creator of CAAS as a proposed syndrome. I'll have to go to references later. Also gave conferences on satanic cults and abuse after the McMartin trial. D. Corridon Hammond publicised a detailed theory in 1992 of ritual abuse drawn from hypnotherapy sessions with his patients, alleging they were victims of a worldwide conspiracy of organised, secretive, clandestine cells who used torture, mind control and ritual abuse to create alternate personalities that could be activated with code words. The victims were allegedly trained as assassins, prostitutes, drug traffickers and child sex workers to create child pornography. Hammond claimed his patients had revealed the conspiracy was masterminded by a Jewish doctor in Nazi Germany, but who now worked for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, with a goal of worldwide domination by a satanic cult. The cult was allegedly composed of respectable, powerful members of society who used the funds generated to further their agenda. Are you starting to see how this might link now to QAnon as well? Missing memories among the victims and absence of evidence was cited as evidence. Absence of evidence was cited as evidence of the power and effectiveness of this cult in furthering its agenda. MK Ultra? Yes, MK Ultra is related to all of this. Hammond's claims gained considerable attention due in part to his prominence in the field of hypnosis and psychotherapy. I fucking hate these people. Bennett Braun, founder of the ISS MP&D and psychologist guilty of implanting false memories. Braun, 78, never admitted wrongdoing when he was sued 11 times for claims such as that he put women into an Illinois psychiatric hospital, put them on high dosages of drugs not always tested on animals, and hypnotized them a couple of decades ago. Braun faced some disciplinary action in Illinois as a result, but was back in good standing by the time he relocated to Montana. Braun is currently being, well, I'm not sure, he might actually be in jail now, but he was being sued to shit back in 2019. These women were finally getting him. So I'm getting a really bad headache. I'm I'm getting gassed by the Satanists. One sec. I'm going to do a mic switch over. I think it's having these headphones in my ear. We're going to get onto the McMartin trial. Do not worry. Joan Coleman, deceased 2018. Oh, I'm literally having like something weird happening with my face that I cannot fully describe, like tension around my ears. Oh man, I hope my fever's not coming back. We're going to carry on and pray that I'm not actually just dying or something. Joan Coleman, deceased 2018, Associate Specialist in Psychiatry, Heathlands Mental Health Services in Surrey, England, and co-founder of Ritual Abuse Information Network Support, RAINS, created the RAINS List CRE folder. I'm just going to turn the lights on a sec, one sec. Right, don't know why I'm dying. Let's hope I don't die. We can do this. Oh, now Dante's at the door. Come on in, boy. Dante to the rescue. Right, we've got Dante in the house now. That's better. Okay. Do you want to come on up, boy? Oh, Jesus Christ, laptop. King of streaming. Hey, boy. How you doing, my boyki? You alright? What are you saying, eh? Why don't you go, like, chillax someone and I can have the camera looking at you and just read out the rest of it. And hopefully not die, pardon me. There we go. That's a much nicer thing to look at than me, isn't it? Isn't that great? Best stream ever? Okay, let's go. Remy Acrone. Psychoanalytic psychotherapist, director of the Portergate Centre for Dissociation and Trauma based in Norwich, UK, consultant psychotherapist, training therapists to treat dissociative disorders, former director of the ITSSD, International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, former president of the European Society for Trauma and Dissociation, the ESTD, member of the UK Council of Psychotherapists, member of British Psychoanalytic Council, Council for Psychoanalysts and Jungian Analysis College. He has specialised in the area of dissociation for the past 25 years, offering assessment and consultancy assistance nationally to CMHTs and psychiatric services. His time frame indicates he trained in dissociation during the Satanic Panic, originally trained as a marriage counsellor. Valerie Sinerson, British poet, writer, psychoanalyst and psychotherapist who is known for promoting the idea that people with a developmental disability can benefit from psychoanalysis, and that satanic ritual abuse is widely practiced in the UK. Member of the Association of Child Psychotherapists of the British Psychoanalytical Society. Founder-director of the Clinic for Dissociative Studies, PhD, PGTC, MACP, Doctor of Philosophy. Yeah, a PhD isn't medical, it's a PhD in philosophy. Not medically trained at all, involved in Carol Myers' case and investigated SRA in the UK. Melanie Goodwin, co-founder of FPP, FFP, FPP, first person plural, and previous patient of Acrone. Uses her lived experiences of DID and theoretical knowledge to help others understand a condition that is often regarded as extremely complex, while she sees it as totally logical. Melanie ran her local playgroup while her own 4 children were small and then spent many years working in the library service. No relevant formal qualifications. Catherine Livingston, which is a pseudonym, legal name unknown, co-founder of the FPP, believed to be previous patient of Acrone, long-standing member of the STD and ISSTD, has been awarded the British Empire Medal in the UK's New Year's Honours List for her services to people with dissociative identity disorder. Prior to the founding of FPP, Catherine worked for Mind and Rethink, two of the leading UK national mental health charities, where she supported service users to become involved in the planning, development and delivery of mental health services and the training of mental health professionals. Catherine has edited quarterly editions of FPP newsletter Rainbow's End for 20 years. In 1999, 3 FPP members, led by Catherine, ran a workshop, Swings and Roundabouts, at the ISSD UK conference in Manchester. The workshop provided many delegates with their first experience of learning from experts by experience. She also coined that term. And trust me, all these names are going to make so much sense once we go through the timeline. I just need to get the names out first, basically. And yeah, the way this is all linking to Dissociated right now, in case you're wondering, is these are all people that Dissociated is trying to raise money for. So it's just interesting, you know. Onno van der Hart, old friend of Remy Ackrone's. Onno is a psychologist, adult psychotherapist, trained family therapist and researcher, emeritus professor of psychopathology of chronic traumatization at the Department of Clinical and Health Psychology at Utrecht University, the Netherlands, and a psychologist psychotherapist at the Sinai Centre for Mental Health, Amstelveen. He was a clinical consultant of the Centre for Post-Trauma Therapy and Trauma Education, Helsinki and Oulu, Finland. He has twice been the recipient of the Milton Erickson Award for Excellence in Scientific Writing from the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, as well as 3 times the Pierre Genet Writing Award for Best Writing on Dissociation from the ISSTD. Past president of the ISTSS, a former vice president and fellow of the ISSTD, and fellow of the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis. Currently vice president of the Institute Pierre Genet, Paris, he is a scholar in Pierre Genet studies. On the 7th November 2019, Onno was brought before the Regional Disciplinary Court for Healthcare Amsterdam for unacceptable behaviour with his patient Hilly, who he had treated from August 1995 to December 2015. 2 to 3 sessions per week, not limited in time, sometimes took up to 5.5 hours at a time. There was almost daily telephone contact during the entire 10-year period. At one point, there were 2 telephone contacts per day, which in any case lasted between 15 and 25 minutes. Home visits also took place. He sent Hilly emails with very personal texts that related to the relationship between the two. He also sent over 200 cards with a considerable amount of gifts, including CDs, books and jewellery, and he left texts on her answering machine. Onno spoke extensively with Hilly about her problems that concerned him personally, including his own past problems and marital problems that existed at the time as a result of the intensive contact between himself and Hilly. He would often end sessions with a hug. He also breached her confidentiality. Hilly had become completely dependent on Onno. The decision was to revoke his license and ban him from re-registration. You can see where we're going with this, eh? Just need to blow my nose. I think I'm ill. This sucks. Call this the growth stream. Oh. Sue Richardson, MSc, analytical psychotherapist and director of the Pottergate Centre for Dissociation Trauma based in Norwich. Consultant psychotherapist, training therapists to treat dissociative disorders, former director of the ISSTD, former president of the ESTD, member of the UK Council of Psychotherapists, member of the BPC, Council for Psychoanalysis and Jungian Analysis College. Started social work in 1966. 1986 was appointed by Cleveland Social Services Department as their child abuse consultant. Lost this position in 1989 after involvement with the Cleveland scandal when she decided to remove 121 children from their homes and her ongoing perpetuation of the SRA conspiracy. Claims to have heard about SRA from colleagues in the Nottingham case. Quote, I did not anticipate it on moving into psychotherapy, but into the therapeutic space stepped adult survivors of ritual abuse, daring to believe that I might be prepared to hear of experiences similar to this child's drawing. I began to see the potential significance in what some of my clients drew, such as an all-seeing eye or an inverted crucifix, or spoke of such as memories of robed figures and chanting. One of these clients had a vivid implicit memory of what presented as ritual abuse ceremonies, which she was able to draw very clearly, but without any conscious memory of them at all. I started to get an idea of what it is like for clients to live with a loss of agency in everyday life, and I was on a steep learning curve. Ritual Abuse and Mind Control, the Manipulation of Attachment Needs. That is a book. I'm just going to let Dante out because he wants to go. 1 sec. 1 second again. Oh, I'm sure his singing added something to the video, right? I'm sure that you guys heard his singing in the background there, I'm sure. It's hard to avoid them worldwide, as you will see. We've gone too far. There we go. Carl Beach, paedophile involved in Operation Midland. Wiltshire-born man in 1968, originally under the name of Carl Stephen Gass, until his parents divorced in 1976, whereupon he assumed the surname of stepfather after his mother remarried. Jailed for 18 years in June 2020 for perjury and fraud, and described by the judge as a malicious fantasist. Fantasies, I believe, were fueled by psychotherapy and the powerful techniques at its disposal. He had also admitted possessing 300 pictures of underage boys on his computer, with 28 images in the worst, most violent category. Absolute fucking scumbag. The worst, literally the worst. When we get to his story, you are going to feel physically sick. I guarantee you. Vicky Patterson, trained at the University of Warwick, gained a professional diploma in person-centered counselling and psychotherapy, treated Beach between February 2012 and October 2016, has been criticised for using a method she called deep stasis and for encouraging Beach to recover memories. Colin Ross, another of Remy's friends, and either one of the FPP lot has gone and studied at this man's clinic in America. Canadian psychiatrist and former president of the ISSTD. From 1993 to 94, there is a controversy about his methods and claims, which include recovering memories through hypnosis of satanic ritual abuse, and his own assertion that he can harness chi energy from his eyes to manipulate electronics. No joke. Ross founded and works in... I know. Ross founded and works in the Ross Institute for Psychological Trauma Hospital in the Dallas, Texas area. He also directs a trauma program at Forest View Psychiatric Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Most of the people the Ross Institute treats describe very traumatic and abusive childhoods. Ross has also produced several documentaries and educational films about DID. In 1999, he teamed with producer James Meyer in the making of Multiple Personality, Reality and Illusion. Wait, is that meant to be Jess Meyer? I'm going to have to check with my girlfriend. Girlfriend is watching this. Send me a message. Is that meant to be James Meyer? Are there just loads of people with the surname Meyer in this story? It's possible. The docudrama featured Chris Costner-Sizemore, a woman that became famous because of a rare diagnosis at that time of multiple personality disorder. Miss Sizemore's life was portrayed by Joanne Woodward in the Fox motion picture The Three Faces of Eve. Colin Ross is currently paying out shitloads of money in court to people like Roma E. Hart, drugged, abused and assaulted by Ross, millions awarded in damages. Martha Antayo, drugged, abused and assaulted by Ross, millions awarded in damages. And when we say drugged and abused, I mean one of these women has been left paralysed and needs to receive Botox injections on a daily basis just to be able to relax the muscles in her spine and breathe. No, not Jess. Sorry, Jess. Didn't mean to bring you up. My bad. Don't think. You'll let me know if it was you. I don't. Whatever. Rambling. Anyway, yeah. Colin Ross, psychopath. Chloe Wilkinson claims to have DID, claims to be diagnosed by Acrone, who is not qualified to diagnose, started a YouTube channel Dissociative in 2018 at 21 years old. CBA about that, and Carol Myers. Carol Myers, oh god. Patient of Simonson and Fleur Fisher. Valerie Simonson and Fleur Fisher committed suicide under mysterious circumstances. Fleur Fisher, ex-chief of ethics for the British Medical Association, BMA, stole all of Carol's possessions. After naming self next of kin, has been impossible to contact since 2011, possibly fled the country. Maxine Berry, very similar case to that of Carol Myers, thankfully without the suicide. Maxine Berry, after receiving treatment when she was just entering adulthood, accused her father of abuse and murder at the instigation of her therapists. We will get to that story. Alright, those are the key players. Those are the key names, as far as anyone here cares. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So, basically, this is very confusing. Those were the names and a little backstory of each name. So now that we can go through the timeline, you'll start to see how this all makes sense. I never said this was going to be quick. But this is just the most important research I've ever been part of. Anyway. 1973. Ooh, I need to burp. 1 second. I need to stop drinking fizzy drinks when I do this. That would be a good idea. 1973. Lawrence Pasder begins therapy with Michelle Smith in his private practice. 76. Pasder begins treating Smith for depression caused by a miscarriage. When Smith confided she felt that she had something important to tell Pasder but could not remember what it was. Soon after, Pasder and Smith had a session where Smith purportedly screamed for 25 minutes non-stop and eventually started speaking in the voice of a 5-year-old. According to Pasder, over the next 14 months, he spent over 600 hours using hypnosis to recover Smith's memories. Smith recovered bizarre and extreme memories of SRA she endured in the 1950s at the hands of a satanic cult in Victoria, which her mother, Virginia Proby, who died in 1964, was a part of. These sessions were often hours at a time. 1978, Pasder and Smith travelled to the Vatican to alert the Catholic Church to the dangers of a worldwide satanic cult preying on children. Meanwhile, the Pope was probably thinking, thank you for taking some attention off of us, off of the more than 2,000 confirmed paedophile Catholic priests that have lived in the US over the last 50 years. 1980, Pasder and Smith co-authored the book Michelle Remembers, recounting their journey and the memories I gotta just turn my phone on silent because else it's going to keep distracting me. Sorry, right. Pasder and Smith co-authored the book Michelle Remembers, recounting their journey and the memories Smith had recovered, including detailed and gruesome depictions of SRA. The book was the first published survivor account of alleged satanic ritual abuse and was a publishing success, earning Pasder and Smith $100,000 hardcover advance and $242,000 for paperback rights. It was first publicized with articles in People magazine and the National Enquirer. During 1980, Pasder and Smith toured the United States to promote the book. 27th of October 1980, Smith's father, Jack Proby, spoke to the press to deny the allegations made by Smith about her deceased mother. It was noted that the book failed to mention her 2 sisters or any attempt to involve the police in verifying the accusations. Further investigations into the allegations made in Michelle Remembers found no evidence to support them. Pasder withdrew his assertion that it was the Church of Satan that abused Smith when Anton LaVey, the church founder, threatened to sue for libel. The church was founded in 1966, well after the 50s, when Smith's alleged abuse took place. So leave the fucking satanic church out of this, you fucking dumbasses. This has nothing to do with Satanism. Just leave them out. 1983. Roland Summit proposed child sexual abuse accommodation syndrome as a medical syndrome. This is not accepted by the medical community to date. After the publication of Michelle Remembers, Pasder was considered to be expert on the topic of satanic ritual abuse. A sudden rise in reports of SRA in the 1980s, likely due to the publication of Michelle Remembers, called for Pasder's expertise. 1984, Pasder acted as a consultant, and McFarlane interviewed with the children involved in the McMartin preschool trial. McFarlane believed the children were suffering from CSAAS. McFarlane warned a congressional committee of scatological behavior and animals being slaughtered in bizarre rituals that children are forced to watch, shortly after the United States Congress doubled its budget for child protection programs. Like, an awful thing creating a good thing. 1984, the International Society for the Study of Multiple Personality and Dissociation, the ISSMP&D, currently the ISSTD, is formed. May 1985, 16th of May 1985. Pasder appeared on the first major news report on Satanism by ABC's television series 2020. In the report titled The Devil Worshippers, Pasder discussed the clues that he felt indicated satanic practices. and we will look at those in another video. At some point in the 1980s, Fleur Fisher starts treating Carol Myers/Felstead. In 1985, Patricia Pulling joined forces with psychiatrist Thomas Radecki, director of the National Coalition on Television Violence, to create BADD, Bad, Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. After Pulling's teenage son, who loved D&D, committed suicide, BADD saw role-playing games generally and Dungeons and Dragons specifically as satanic cult recruitment tools, inducing youth to suicide, murder and satanic ritual abuse. Educators, childcare centres and television. This information was shared at policing and public awareness, and this then led on to the whole fears of video games creating shooters and stuff. It's moral panic. Seminars on crimes in the occult, sometimes by active police officers. This information was shared at policing and public awareness seminars on crime in the occult, sometimes by active police officers. None of these allegations held up in analysis or in court. Thomas Radecki, as of 2016, is serving an 11 to 12-year sentence for overprescribing and trading opioid addiction treatment drugs for sex through a program he ran in several counties called Doctors and Lawyers for a Drug-Free Youth. He ran an opioid clinic, and in his opioid clinic, when teenage girls, well, it's youth girls, so between the age of 16 and 25, when these girls came in that were addicted to heroin and opioids, he would trade them more opioids in return for sex. June 1986, Sue Richardson was appointed to the new post of Child Abuse Consultant by Cleveland Social Services Department. 9th to 12th of September 1986, PASDA participated in the first national seminar at which law enforcement were introduced to the satanic ritual abuse of children in Fort Collins, Colorado. Subsequently, PASDA was part of the CCIN, Cult Crime Impact Network, and lectured to police agencies about satanic ritual abuse during the late 1980s, along with other speakers such as Mike Warnke. 1986, social worker Carol Darling argued to a grand jury that the Satanists had reached the level of government. Her husband, Brad Darling, gave conference presentations about a satanic conspiracy of great antiquity, which he believed now permeated American communities. What does that sound like, guys? QAnon? Australia held the largest symposium on child abuse in history in 1986, with addresses by vocal SRA advocates, including Key McFarlane and Roland Summit. In 1987, clinical psychologist Catherine Gould published a list of indicators that a child has experienced SRA, featuring a broad array of vague symptoms that were ultimately common, non-specific and subjective. The list spread globally, in part enabled by English being a common international language. Along with the list of indicators, American conference speakers, pamphlets, source materials, consultants, vocabulary regarding SRA and allegedly funding were imported to the UK, which promoted the identification and counselling of British SRA allegations. The 87 writings of the phenomenon hits the UK, along with incidents featuring broadly similar accusations, such as the Cleveland child abuse scandal, when 121 children were removed from their homes by social services after being diagnosed as sexually abused by two paediatricians at a Middlesbrough hospital. Marietta Higgs and Jeffrey Wyatt, and supported by Sue Richardson, using the invasive and later discredited diagnostic of reflex anal dilation. You know how they tried to work out whether or not these kids had been raped? They raped them. They put things up their butts to see how much their butts would dilate. They probed their anuses in order to see if these children had been sexually abused by a cult. Nice one, Sue Richardson. It was later found that the majority of diagnoses were incorrect and 94 of the children were returned home. Further allegations of SRA in Nottingham resulted in the British McMartin. The Nottingham investigation resulted in criminal charges of severe child abuse that ultimately had nothing to do with satanic rituals, and was criticised for focusing on the irrelevant and non-existent satanic aspects of the allegations at the expense of their severe conventional abuse endured by the children. Because this is the thing, in 100% of satanic ritual abuse cases where abuse has been found, it was not done for the sake of some cult or organisation. It was done for sadistic, paedophilic pleasure. They rape and abuse children to get off, and that is all there is to it. They're not doing it to gain occult powers. Fuck. 1987, PASDA reported that he was spending a third of his time consulting on satanic ritual abuse cases. Also in 87, PASDA coins a more favourable term for satanic ritual abuse: Ritual abuse. At a professional conference in Richmond, Virginia, Pazder defines ritual abuse as repeated physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual assaults combined with a systematic use of symbols and secret ceremonies designed to turn a child against itself, family, society, and God. He noted that the sexual assault has a ritualistic meaning and is not for sexual gratification. Pazder described the perceived satanic problem as the pure group of orthodox Satanists is never seen or identified in public, yet it is this group of invisible Satanists who plant the seeds and encourage all the more visible satanic groups. All believing in things like SRA does, and all promoting things like SRA does, is take attention away from the real victims of child sexual exploitation, child sex trafficking, child abuse. You fucking narcissistic cunts that have spread this shit. By this time, prosecutors had used Michelle Remembers as a guide when preparing cases against alleged Satanists. Accusations of SRA appeared worldwide, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia. Therapists or patients who believed someone had suffered from SRA could suggest solutions that included Christian psychotherapy, exorcism, and support groups whose members self-identified as anti-satanic warriors. Isn't that great? So say you actually had been abused by your father, now you're going to get an exorcism. We all know they're not just abuse and torture. Yeah. Are you starting to see why this stuff has been getting me fucking angry recently? And yeah, let's carry on. Federal funding was increased for research on child abuse. Brilliant, with large portions of the funding allocated for research on child sexual abuse. Funding was also provided for conferences supporting the idea of SRA, adding a veneer of respectability. 1987, Gerardo Rivera produced a national television special on the alleged secret cults, claiming estimates that there are over 1 million Satanists in the United States, and they are linked in highly organized, secretive network. Tapings of this and similar talk show episodes were used by religious fundamentalists, psychotherapists, social workers, and police to promote the idea that a conspiracy of satanic cults existed, and these cults were committing serious crimes. 1988. Bennett Braun, founder of the ISSMP&D, now the ISSTD, presented a workshop in Chicago at an ISSMP&D conference linking the diagnosis of multiple personality disorder, gonna burp again, to abuse at the hands of devil-worshipping cults. His arguments included unfounded claims of widespread satanic cults, internally organized with a structure similar to communist cells, with local, regional, distinct, national and international councils. Braun presented bizarre claims that the cults were transgenerational family traditions that had been conducted in secret for at least 2,000 years. You're starting to see who all this sounds like. If you're not picking up on the anti-Semitic vibes of all this yet, then you probably don't have any Jewish family. I myself do. You know, I am what would be considered culturally Jewish. I am no way practicing. I'm completely an atheist. But my fucking God, this makes my skin crawl. This is the exact persecution, oppression, and anti-Semitism that has been propagated and spread all around America in the last 10 years by fucking neo-Nazis. Fuck. 1989, almost 10 years after the publication of Michelle Remembers, Oprah Winfrey featured Smith as a guest on her show alongside Laurel Rose Wilson, another controversial SRA author. Both women's experiences were presented by Winfrey as incontrovertible fact, and not once did she question the authenticity of any claim in either book. In the Oprah show, the biggest show in America. Yeah. 1989, British therapists began to tour the UK, giving talks on SRA. And shortly thereafter, SRA cases occurred in Orkney, Rochdale, London, and Nottingham. Rochdale. 1989, Ritual Abuse Information Network and Support RAINS, the RAINS list, was set up for professionals working with this issue, co-founded by Joan Coleman. Just the RAINS list is just pure insanity, and it's hilarious. Anyway, 1990, the UK Society for the Study of Dissociation, the UKSSD, was formed. Possible involvement of Akron, I don't know. If I say possible or like that sort of thing, I genuinely don't know. I don't know. Just very likely, considering he was involved as a head or a director in every one of the other groups. September 1990, Pazder had acted as a consultant in more than 1,000 SRA cases. 1991, New Zealand experiences a wave of SRA cases. 1992, Valerie Sinerson begins treating the infamous Carol Myers bi-weekly for 8 months. 1992, Catherine Gold and other members of the RATF claimed to the press and county governors that Satanists are trying to poison them with diazinon, though no proof was found. June 1992, psychologist D. Corridon Hammond publicised a detailed theory of ritual abuse drawn from hypnotherapy sessions with patients who were alleged victims of SRA, called Hypnosis and MPD Ritual Abuse. The Green Bum speech, that's what it's now known as, and I'm going to be doing an entire episode just reading out the Green Bum speech, because it is one of the most disgustingly anti-Semitic speeches I've ever read. Fucking young Hitler, here we come. It actually makes me sick. The theory is deeply anti-Semitic tones involving Jewish Nazi doctors using mind control to traffic children, create assassins, prostitutes, drug dealers. Anti-Semitism can be noted in the name of the speech. Green Bum means green tree in Hebrew, a Kabbalistic Sephiroth satanic tree. Hammond's claims gained considerable attention due in part to his prominence in the field of hypnosis and psychotherapy. 1992, Norway experiences a wave of SRA cases. 1992, charges were laid in Martinsville, Canada, satanic sex scandal. The charges were overturned in 1995 on the grounds of improper interviewing of the children. 1994, Sinerson publishes a collection of essays titled Treating Survivors as Satanist Abuse that claimed satanic ritual abuse existed in the United Kingdom and that she had treated victims. This is the woman that Dissociative is pushing right now. You know, these are the people that Dissociative is working with. And as shown in the clip I proved once, Dissociative actually thinks that what happened to her might be, you know, this stuff. So, woo, woo. The ISS MP&D changed their name to the ISSD, later becoming the ISSTD. The reason for all the name changes is all the people getting sued and stuff all the time, you know. Jean LaFontaine in 1994 was commissioned by the UK government to investigate SRA in the UK. No evidence of legitimate satanic elements in child abuse cases were found, ever. 1995, Bennett Braun was sued by a former patient who claimed that Braun has falsely convinced her that she'd engaged in satanic rituals, cannibalism, and infanticide. The patient received a $10.6 million settlement. Braun's medical license was temporarily suspended by Illinois state officials in 1999. Great people. I don't know, maybe that's meant to say 1996, not 1986. Akron starts working in the NHS and Dissociation. 1997, Joan Coleman begins the RAINS list, which contains more than 200 names purporting to document satanic ritual abusers, often providing specific personal information, including home addresses and telephone numbers. It's a doxing list. It's horrific. Many of the names listed are people who have publicly expressed skepticism of SRA. None of the claims have been proven, and no evidence has been given. Upon this list are people like Ted Heath, England's first gay prime minister, because, you know, you can't be a gay prime minister and not be on the list. It's funny, at the time when she wrote the list, she didn't put Jimmy Savile or Maggie Thatcher on there. You know, Maggie Thatcher had Jimmy Savile over to Chequers every year that she was in power for Christmas dinner. Maggie Thatcher, who definitely knew about Jimmy Savile's paedophilia. You know, she didn't put Rolf Harris on there, somebody who was caught out for being a paedophile. No, she put just basically every homosexual that she knew of in her local town, and Britain's gay prime minister. Lovely fucking person. 1997, First Person Plural was founded by Catherine Livingston and Melanie Goodwin, previous patients of Acrone. Acrone and Sue Richardson worked closely with Livingston during its initial setup. And also, I'm not sure when Valerie Sinerson became a member of the board of FPP. That was at some point in the last 20 years. No idea. But she is also on the board these days. 1998, former ISSTD President Colin Ross has also been sued by former patients for implanting false memories, including of satanic ritual abuse. Roma Hart accused Ross of convincing her, among other things, that she was forcibly impregnated by aliens and later gave birth to a half-alien, half-human hybrid. 1998, another former patient of Ross, Martha Antio, sued Ross and others, alleging that the defendant's methods led her to believe that her family was part of an extended transgenerational satanic cult. Yeah. 1998, Jean Lafontaine produced a book indicating allegations of SRA in the United Kingdom was sparked by investigations supervised by social workers who had taken SRA seminars in the United States. 1999, three FPP members, led by Catherine Livingston, ran a workshop, Swings and Roundabouts, at the ISSD UK conference in Manchester. The workshop provided many delegates with their first experience of learning from experts by experience. 2000, news hit the press that Simonson and colleague Rob Hale granted £22,000 from the UK Health Department to produce evidence of SRA. Both were leading critics of Jean Lafontaine's 1994 report that found no evidence of SRA. Simonson and Hale's report was never published by the Department of Health, but FOI requests suggest it was first opened in 1995 and ended in September 2002. The report did not find Lafontaine's report invalid. Lafontaine commented on the story, saying, "It is not surprising to me that patients who are having treatment by Valerie Simonson would produce stories that echo such topical issues as the recent trial for receiving internet pornography and the publicity for the film Hannibal. There is good research that shows the memories of abuse are produced in and by the therapy." 2004, another of Bennett Braun's former patients, Elizabeth Gale, filed a lawsuit against Braun and Robert Sachs, another ISSTD founder, alleging that they and their colleagues convinced Gale that her family indoctrinated her as a child so that she would make babies for sacrifice in a satanic cult. The settlement in the malpractice suit amounted to $7.5 million. You don't pay that out in a malpractice suit if you're innocent. You don't pay tens of millions of dollars. You don't pay tens of millions of dollars out in settlements if you're innocent. The court found him guilty of malpractice and forced him to pay that. The founder, every founder of this is why the ISSTD has had so many names, because the founders and everyone in it is always getting sued for abusing patients and destroying families. 2005, July 14th, Carol Meyer's family learns of her death for the first time and that she is to be cremated in 2 days' time. Yeah. 2006, the ISSD changed its name to its current name, ISSTD. They are still the authority on the diagnosis and treatment of DID. For what fucking reason, I do not know, when every single one of their fucking experts is it's a fucking scumbag. It's absolute fucking scum. April 2006, the STD is founded after a period of active planning and collaboration with professional colleagues from over 17 countries in Europe, as well as with the Executive Council of the International Society for Trauma and Dissociation, which included ACRON. 2007, the UK SSD merged with the ESTD. 2008, Colin Ross applied for James Randi Educational Foundation's $1 million Paranormal Challenge. If you've never heard of James Randi, you're going to have fun. Go on YouTube, just watch James Randi episodes, just watch all the James Randi in the world. Basically, he had the show where he had $1 million up for grabs if you could prove your psychic powers. And guess what? Nobody's ever got the $1 million. Colin Ross, one of the ISSTD guys, claims that energy from his eyes could cause a speaker receiving no other output to sound a tone. He thought he could beam energy into electrical components and power them with electric energy, chi energy from his eyes. Is anyone else going insane yet? 2009, Ross accepted the tongue-in-cheek Pegasus Award from the James Randi Educational Foundation, an award you get for being a pig, a fraud, a charlatan, a liar, and a hack. 2010, Colin Ross published experimental data that supports his scientific hypothesis that the eyes emit energy that can be captured and measured in the Anthropology of Consciousness, a journal of the American Anthropological Association. During correspondence with Stephen Novella of The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, he conceded that the equipment he was using was a biofeedback machine attached to his laptop, and that the laptop was responding in a well-understood way to an eye blink. He had an eye scan. It was an eye blink reader in 2010. Yeah, well done. Big whoop. Literally every webcam had that. However, he claimed that he could still send energy beams out of his eyes and was working on modifying the software to ignore an eye blink. What a twat. September 2011. ACRON gives an interview to a trauma and abuse group journal called Interact, where he states his opinion on satanic ritual abuse. I would also say that the majority of people with DID that I have known have been involved in some sort of organised abuse. I call it organised abuse rather than ritual abuse, but I'm in no way inferring that satanic ritual abuse doesn't exist, because it clearly does. But the basis from which I start is that there is a bunch of paedophiles who are finding some way of justifying and allowing themselves to feel alright about what they are doing, and I think you have to start with something as concrete and raw and clear as that, because otherwise the fighting of satanic ritual abuse can become a cult of its own. Prophetic words there, Remy. This is where I've had numerous discussions and some disagreements with colleagues about it, but I think that it is hard enough to raise the profile and awareness of DID as it is, without putting off both professionals and the public by talking about SRA. He also recommends a book called The Haunted Self by Steele and Van der Hart. Just skipping that bit. I literally don't need that on there. Oh, okay. I can't get rid of it, so I'm just gonna. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. What is this showing? Cool. My bad. I'm sorry. Okay. The Pottergate Centre is 2012. The Pottergate Centre is formed according to Dun & Bradstreet. Ackroyd is the centre director. 2012, Ackroyd addresses the ISSTD in a letter commenting on the struggles they face with scepticism over DID and dissociation. February 2012, Carl Beach contacts Vicky Patterson for therapy, where he was encouraged to recover memories in a hypnotic state. 2012, Beach attempted to submit a claim of abuse to Wiltshire Police in the wake of the Savile scandal. So, Jimmy Savile had been confirmed at this point as a fucking paedophile, so, you know, this guy wants his time in the limelight, I guess. I don't know, weird. His claim at the time alleged that his stepfather, Jimmy Savile, and a group of unidentified men had abused him considerably alongside one other he named. Detectives found this to be false. Okay, I'm skipping that. Another ISSTD founder, Richard Clough, wrote in 2014, "It is undeniable that satanic elements are employed at times by those who wish to exploit the power of such materials for the purposes of intimidation and or to pursue nefarious purposes. Satanic elements remain problematic realities in many situations. I remain troubled about the matter of transgenerational satanic cults, which do not exist." 2014, journalist Mark Conrad comes across an online blog containing allegations of a potential case of historic abuse created by Carl Beach. He made contact with Beach to discuss his blog, in which he was given detailed accounts by Beach about abuse he claimed he had suffered from a group of powerful men, including his stepfather, during his youth. During meetings with him, Conrad was taken to various locations and given accounts of what Beach had allegedly endured between 1975 and 1984 at each site. Conrad made further confirmation about his abusers' identities by supplying photos to Beach for him to identify those he had named. Conrad posted his inquiries in a story for the investigative journalism website Exaro. Conrad's story was picked up by the Metropolitan Police, who made requests to see his source and agreed to allow the journalist to attend their initial meeting with Beach. Beach gave them full detailed accounts of the abuse that he claimed he had been subjected to at various locations, including the Elm Guest House, the Dolphin Square apartment block in Pimlico, the Carlton Club, and various other locations in the home counties. November 2014, Jesus Christ, oh my god, there's too much of that. November 2014, Metropolitan Police announced that a large-scale investigation was to be conducted to investigate the claims presented by Beach, codenamed Operation Midland. By 2014, FPP became a charitable incorporated organisation. Okay. 2015, police involved in Operation Midland conducted extensive searches for documents and articles that could support the accusations against the accused. The homes of both Bramwell in Yorkshire and Proctor on the estate of Belvoir Castle in Leicestershire were searched in March. The home of Lord Britton was raided 6 weeks after his death during the inquiry, with computers, hard drives and documents removed for examination. January 2016, detectives in the Operation Midland case concluded there was insufficient evidence and no credible witnesses to support the continuation of investigations against the accused. Between January and March, the Metropolitan dropped the charges against each member of the accused, enacting to take no further action against them. February 2016. The then Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Bernard Hogan Howe, ordered for an immediate inquiry into Operation Midland to be conducted a month before its conclusion. Many errors were found to have been made, including no background check on Beach and failure to know of his dismissed 2012 claim that he was abused by Savile, which meant that detectives unwittingly supported Beach in making a fraudulent claim for compensation in connection to the Savile scandal, receiving around £22,000 from the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority. The CICA is there in place to literally support those who have been victims of things like sexual abuse and child exploitation. Yeah. 2nd of November 2016, the Metropolitan contacted Northumbria Police to investigate Beach over a possible charge of perverting the course of justice. Detectives searched his home in Newcastle for documents and evidence, made a full check of the evidence he supplied to the Metropolitan, and requested access to his school and medical records. Their findings confirmed that Beach made seriously false allegations that had wasted police time, and unpublished works of fantasy he had written showed that Beach was a fantasist who delighted in playing out fantasies of being a victim of violent child abuse and enjoyed the attention it would bring him with little heed for the consequences and the damage it would cause. Detectives also found that Beach was a prolific paedophile, already under investigation for a number of child sex offences, including charges of voyeurism and making and possessing indecent images of children. These offences took place whilst he was cooperating with Operation Midland. The man's a fucking psychopath. Alongside his involvement as a worker for the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, Beach was arrested for the offences he was currently under investigation for, with the NSPCC stripping him of his role and commitments to their organisation. He was held for trial at Worcester Crown Court. September 2016, Wilkinson starts studying psychology at UAE. 2017, Chloe Wilkinson claims she was kicked out of university because of her mental health. She also stated that she was taking a voluntary break. The circumstances around this are still unclear. Don't worry, we'll get back to Carl Beach. Feb 2017, Chloe receives the diagnosis of DID from Aquarone, except she didn't, in the Portergate Centre, even though he cannot legally diagnose. This would later change to Aquarone having given her a recommended diagnosis of DID, still unclear as to where she received her diagnosis. 2017. Beach fled to Sweden and evaded capture for 2 months in the far north of the country, using multiple aliases until an extensive manhunt led to his capture and extradition back to Britain. June 2017, Aquarone gives an interview to The Independent with Melanie Goodwin, where he states on religion, "One psychological benefit of religious belief may be that, in theory, a relationship with God, with all its associated memories, can extend from an early childhood through to death, and no matter where you are on the planet, it is there. As Aquarone says, you can't take it away, and it transcends where you are." Great. Bring religion into your psychology. Why not? Why not? Catherine Livingstone, 23rd January 2018, is awarded the prestigious British Empire Medal in the Queen's New Year's Honours List for her services to people with DID, and founder of First Person Plural. March 2018, Chloe Wilkinson creates her YouTube channel, Dissociative. July 2018, Beach was charged with 12 counts of perverting the course of justice and 1 of fraud alongside the child sex offences he had committed. In December, the reporting restrictions in the case were lifted, allowing him to be publicly identified. November 2018. Wilkinson starts a long-distance relationship with fellow DidTuber Nanette Zuniga. Nan. Trigger warning, talking about Nan. It's less triggering after the shit we've just covered, to be honest. Nan was 29 at the time and claims to have been diagnosed with DID, BPD, DPD, ED, GAD, and OCPD, and substance abuse disorder. So, dissociative identity, borderline personality, an eating disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and obsessive compulsive personality disorder, as well as substance abuse. Basically BPD. They are non-binary and started their channel Team Pinata in 2017. They made previous channels. They made a previous channel under the name Golduck in 2010, but stopped uploading there. That still exists, guys. Feb 2019, Wilkinson writes an article titled In Defense of Self-Diagnosis, in which she purported that self-diagnosis was helpful and shouldn't be discouraged. 2019, March, a group of DID YouTubers and online friends, including Jess, have what they termed the DID sleepover. Shortly before this, Wilkinson befriended DidTuber Bobo and was invited to the sleepover. This boosted traffic to her channel substantially. Basically, Chloe just got in there and started using everyone that she possibly could, copied everything that she possibly could about Jess's personality, copied everything that she possibly could about just what DID is, and then ingratiated herself with anyone that had an audience to explode her audience as quickly as possible. 2019, May. Beach was placed on trial but denied the charges against him, continuing to pursue claims that his allegations were true despite the evidence to the contrary. July 2019, Beach was found guilty of all charges and sentenced 4 days later to 18 years in prison. Oh, and by the way, here's the really fun thing. Carl Beach also tried to blame his son. He put a load of pornography hidden on his son's phone, like put a load of paedophilic pornography on his son's phone, so to try and get his son done instead of him. He's actually a psychopath. 28th of July 2019, The Guardian publishes a letter signed by prominent names opposing the outcome of Beach's trial and defending him. It insinuates that though Beach is a paedophile and committed actual crimes against children, actual crimes such as exposing himself to them and taking photos of them and creating child porn, even though he's an actual criminal acting paedophile, and his tales have been proven to be lies, he should still be listened to because he is also a victim of satanic. They think it's because satanic ritual abuse is real, these people. So a letter was written to the police and to the Guardian and to the courts. The scenarios Carl Beach describes in his complex mixture of untreated victim and perpetrator. No, he's just a criminal, a familiar. People need to understand, and also, just because you're a victim of something doesn't mean you get instantly forgiven for your criminal actions, you fucking dumbasses. Anyway, carrying on. People need to understand fantasists and liars. To ignore that subject risks not hearing vulnerable children. Children with dissociative identity disorder from trauma, for example, are often accused of being liars when one state of mind is amnesiac to what another has said or done. To be wrongly accused is abuse. We must provide justice for all, while acknowledging the number of innocent people named as very small compared with the 1 in 65 survivors who gain justice. The signatories on this letter are Valerie Sinerson, Sue Richardson, Catherine Livingston, Melanie Goodwin, Remy Acrone, Nancy Borrett, Jacqueline Everett, Andrew Baxter, Penny Johnson, Paula Fenn, Dana Sanger, Ruth Albra, Kay Luck, Marie Fitzmaurice, Michelle Jowett, Winya Lutz, Sandra Buck, Judy Williams, Lindsay Schofield, Kate Forbes Pitt, Dara Mitchell, Amir McGrath, Andrea Aldridge, Liz Hall, Mandy Cohill, Renee Cohen, Guile Lascelle, Abby O'Connor, Jane Blackhurst, Kathy Wright, Ruth Leeper, Patricia Bars, Katja Kohler, Lorraine Newbold, Paula Biles, Raina Kurtz, Judith Marlowe, Heather Bacon. But if you'd like to just hear those ones at the top again, Valerie Sinerson, Sue Richardson, Catherine Livingston, Melanie Goodwin, and Remy Acrone all want this paedophile, this convicted acting paedophile, out of jail to support their belief in satanic ritual abuse. Yeah. Cunts. Fucking scumbags. Cunts. They care more about an adult man than actual children. Fucking scumbags. This charity that Dissociative's fans have gone and raised money for funds all of those people there at the top. The money that the charity raises goes to giving talks around the country. It pays their fucking paychecks. Do you get it now? Do you get the anger now? I'm going to continue, but I hope you'll get the fucking disgust. Sick fucking paedophile defenders and paedophiles. What the fuck has gone wrong with this world? No, you cannot trust somebody who defends paedophiles more than children of abuse for therapy. Seriously, you cannot trust that person. Fuck themselves. And I'm not going to say that that doesn't mean any diagnosis that they may have given in the past is false or inaccurate. But as of 2019 onwards, you cannot... What? You must cut yourselves off from paedophile defenders at all costs, especially if you have children. You cannot let children... You cannot be a parent and go near somebody who defends paedophiles and raises money for nonce supporters. That is my message. 2019. Onno van der Hart loses his license and is banned from re-registration for major malpractice involving a patient. His conduct involved extreme and prolonged contact with his patient, inappropriate conversation and touching, hugging at the end of sessions, breaking her confidentiality, making her dependent, and exacerbating her suffering over a 10-year period of treatment rather than actually fucking treating her. Onno van der Hart was referenced and cited on the Pottergate only last year. If you look on the Pottergate right now, there are 2 resources on that clinic, and they're both Remy. Just Remy spouting his fucking arse off. You know why? Last year there were more than that. You know why they're all gone? Because all these fucking cunts are in jail or disbarred. They cannot be trusted, for fuck's sake. It actually makes me upset that these people even fucking exist. Chloe Wilkinson and Zuniga get engaged in London, 31st December 2019. 4th of March 2020, YouTube Anthony Padilla posts a video about DID, hosting multiple people including Chloe Wilkinson. It was revealed a month later that her spot was originally meant for Jess Meyer, but after sharing in a group chat with Wilkinson and others that she would be on the show, Wilkinson contacted the same agent and took the spot, because Chloe is a narcissist. March 2020, famous YouTuber Patricia Paters posts a video talking about Anthony Padilla DID video. She mentions Wilkinson saying she seemed crazy, but that she ended up relating to her and thought she might have DID herself. This enraged Wilkinson, who made a video watching Trisha's video and criticising it. Her fans sent floods of hate to Trisha, who then began to troll Wilkinson with further DID videos. Wilkinson engaged in the drama against the advice of her friends. She then announces she is then going on a break from social media due to the stress causing another split. April 2020, whilst researching for a series of video analysing and criticising Wilkinson's behaviour, hey, that's me, Grandad's Lounge, uncovers drawings done by Nan, depicting minors in sexual situations and detailed gross drawings of minors sneezing, which is their fetish. My god. I'm still traumatised by that shit. They describe sneezing as the only thing that stimulates them sexually and describe their blog containing their drawings of minors as their own porn. These drawings were commissioned, created and distributed to adults while Nan was an adult over a time span of years. April 2020, Wilkinson makes a brief video claiming no knowledge of the CP drawn by Nan. This has since been deleted. 8th of April 2020, Wilkinson posted on Twitter and Instagram that she had a close call with suicide, and to ignore the targeted defamation and false claims being spread about her online, in reference to the information about Nan's fetish child porn and her own questionable behaviour and changing stories. April 2020, Nan deletes all social media. They are no longer with Wilkinson, apparently. 27th of June 2020, ex-DidTuber and ex-friend of Wilkinson, Entry System, posted a live video documenting the drama from her perspective. In it, she explains that she repeatedly told Wilkinson to stop the drama, and that Wilkinson had posted about her close call with suicide to teach the trolls that their actions have consequences. Screenshots were provided. She faked the suicide attempt in order to hurt people. Like, just, you know, whatever. October 20th, 2020. Wilkinson launches herself back into the public eye on her YouTube for a charity fundraiser called Dissociative Draws, which she describes as a completely non-profit charity fundraising art challenge for everybody to join, except you, by the way, you got to sign up to a Patreon for it, with the rolling fees and stuff. Returning to YouTube, our charity fundraiser featuring Orla Garland. Yeah, I was saying that featured Orla Garland, a celebrity. What the fuck? Orla Garland wasn't in it. Just fuck yourself. Oh. Pledges made in the month of October would go wholly to charity, and patrons would be able to vote on which charity to donate to. This was definitely an encouragement to sign up to her Patreon. The winners would then have their designs turned into merch, which would also donate all profits to charity. And oh yeah, the merch. That's something I still want to make a video about at some point, just because it's pretty amusing. 15 quid for a mask as well, paying £15 for a mask. Oh, go fuck yourself, Chloe. 23rd of October 2020, Remy Aquaron writes a blog post for Pezzy claiming that the incredibly dangerous and manipulative pseudoscientific practice of psychic countertransference is actually a good thing when he does it. Psychic countertransference being where a therapist puts their feelings and opinions into the patient. It's a good thing when he does it. My girlfriend deserves an award. I agree. Yes, she does. She has done so much work for this. This has taken her so much time. We've been researching it together over the last few months, but she has done all the writing. She's also assembled a massive folder of things, which I'm going to upload the folder with all of the links and screenshots to everything, which are all referenced by the numbers in here, into a Google Docs, so that you can have some fun scarring and traumatizing yourself. But basically, anything in here that I haven't covered in detail, I'm probably going to cover in a video, because all of these stories are fucking insane. November 2020, Wilkinson announces the total amount raised with the draws is £3,933.31. She posts receipts in the form of a 4-page PDF document, including screenshots of payment transactions, etc. She makes a point that she covered the processing fees of £188.80 for using the Give As You Live fundraising website. 20th December 2020, Wilkinson posts a YouTube video announcing her new charity merch for FPP, and ends the video with a clip of Catherine Livingston, the paedophile defender, saying thank you for the donations. Present day. We made it! We did it! Yeah. Oh, here's one thing I did want to talk about quickly as well. Moral entrepreneurs, because this is a word a term to know about. A moral entrepreneur is an individual, group, or formal organization that seeks to influence a group to adopt or maintain a norm, altering the boundaries of altruism, deviance, duty, or compassion. Moral entrepreneurs take the lead in labeling a particular behavior and spreading or popularizing this label throughout society. This can include attributing negative labels to behavior, the removal of negative labels, positive labeling, and the removal of positive labels. The moral entrepreneur may press for the creation of enforcement of a norm for any number of reasons, altruistic or selfish. Such individuals or groups also hold the power to generate moral panic. I go, yeah, now you know what Chloe is, and now you know what these people are. They're moral entrepreneurs who are doing this because they want attention, and that's it. They're moral crusaders. These moral crusaders are concerned chiefly with the successful persuasion of others, but are not concerned with the means by which this persuasion is achieved, which is why Chloe's so happy to lie and include just lie about statistics and make shit up all the fucking time, because she's a moral crusader. She doesn't care how she persuades people. That's why she's willing to use switch caught on camera. Yet again, the one thing that's been called out by everyone within the DID community: stop doing fucking switches on camera. Latest video, switch caught on camera. Fucking narcissists. Successful moral crusades are generally dominated by those in the upper social strata of society. They often include religious groups, lawmaking bodies, and stakeholders in a given field. Chloe being a stakeholder in the given field of DID. There is a political competition in which these moral crusaders originate crusades aimed at generating reform, based on what they think is moral, therefore defining deviance. Moral crusaders must have power, public support, generate public awareness of the issue, and be able to propose a clear and acceptable solution to the problem. The degree of a moral entrepreneur's power is highly dependent upon the social and cultural context. Social position determines one's ability to define and construct reality. Therefore, the higher one's social position, the greater his or her moral value. After a time, crusaders become dependent upon experts or professionals who serve to legitimize a moral creed on technical or scientific grounds. So, yeah, you get it. It's important to understand that moral entrepreneurs aren't always bad. They're often key in social justice movements such as LGBT rights, women's rights, etc. We're done. I'm done. Oh my gosh. Well, where am I? I can't even see myself in my own feed and shit. I'm exhausted. I'm actually exhausted. Fucking hell, how long have we been going at this for? How do people stream all day? Just playing video games and shit. I don't know. 1.5 hours is long enough for me, I think. Oh, right. give us 24 hours to get the reference docs ready. By the time, like, YouTube takes like a day or two to process these live streams anyway, so when the live stream is done processing, by that time in the description and stuff there'll be all the important bits and pieces. Thank you so much for joining me. Basically everyone that's been chatting away, I'm right. No, just ignore me. I actually lost my marbles after going through all that again for like the 100th time. It's just such depressing shit. Next live stream. Thank you guys. Next live stream, either tomorrow or the day after. We'll see how I am feeling. I'm not going to promise tomorrow this time, because I think promising tomorrow all the time is a mistake when I feel so ill. But next live stream, we're going to be exploring the very depressing case of Carol Myers, who you saw mentioned in there a few times, and Fleur Fisher, and we're going to try and be bringing some justice for Carol, because it's one of the most upsetting cases of anything you'll ever read or hear about in your life. And yeah, we've just got some interesting stuff to look at this year. This timeline and document is basically here as my plan for the year. So now you know what we're doing this year, guys. We're exploring everything in this document. We're gonna figure out exactly the link between these old SRA conspiracies and current QAnon. I'm getting in there, but the main thing from this I needed you all to understand is that the ISSTD, all of these fucking experts that everyone swears by, disbarred, in jail, paying out millions of dollars in settlements, fled the country, or paedophile offenders. Awesome. If your therapist or doctor was not on that list, well done. Seriously, well done. I'm so sorry almost about these facts in a certain way. Carl Beach. You are just reading about Carl Beach is going to make you more sick than anything, the entire story. The shit. Oh, fucking hell. I forgot to mention in this how this all links up to Operation U-Tree as well, because obviously Operation U-Tree came before Operation Midland, and Operation U-Tree was the very, very, very successful operation that, after investigating, it was once Jimmy Savile had died and his paedophilia came out, Operation U-Tree came about, and it took down people like Rolf Harris and all the other genuine paedophiles within the BBC. There still needs to be more done, obviously, but well done, basically. Yeah, if your doctors aren't on that list, you're lucky. You would be happy. I did not know he has his own YouTube channel. Oh my fucking god. Time to go review some videos, I suppose. Oh god, I watched one video with him in it, and like, it was an interview, and everyone else that was being interviewed by the interviewer spoke to the interviewer, like their eyes weren't staring at the camera, and he, during the interview, is like, and he also does the same thing as Dissociative, barely blinks and was just obsessed at staring like into the camera rather than actually talking to the interviewer. It's really uncomfortable. Like, no joke. I know a lot of people love him and think he's a hero, but he's a paedophile defender. He thinks a paedophile should be out of jail. Like, just, yeah, it's a lot darker than you thought. It's the anti-Semitism, the fucking, there's racism in this too, which I didn't quite get into, but that original fucking cunt who went over to Nigeria, basically he brought back Nigerian beliefs of Jewish people practicing this thing called blood libel. This like, it's a West African belief that Jews go around eating your children in order to gain mystical powers and cast magic. You know, it's a racist, anti-Semitic, ancient fucking belief, and it all ties back to it. I'm going to be reading, like I say, out the Green Bum speech, and you're going to go, oh, this guy again was one of the ISSTD heads, and he's just a Nazi, just a fucking neo-Nazi. And as I said, and Colin Ross, the fucking scumbag Colin Ross, and you find out that actually Remy and Valerie Sinerson have gone over to America and spent a week at his clinic learning from him. That Onno, Vanderhart and Remy worked on papers together. Yeah. It's literally been the most depressing research I've ever done in my life. I've never found... And you want to know something else? And this should be very relevant to you, because I know the viewers of this stream right now, other than you, Philly boy, are mostly women, because only women seem to be interested in this DID shit. And you know why? Because every single person diagnosed by these therapists happens to be a woman. Every single one of these dead, abused, raped, suicided patients happens to be a woman. Like, what the fuck's going on there, fam? Basically. Yeah. Thank you so much. Seriously, so much for joining me on this. It's been a ride. Here we go. Alright. Oh, yeah, cool. I literally never know how to say goodbye on these things. Yes, I did just assume your gender because I've seen what you look like in real life. I watched your live stream that one time you did one. Just didn't say hey, because I'm a dickhead. Right, yeah, I'm going to sleep now. I need to go. I need a smoke. I'm done. I'm not thinking about this shit for a week. Next few videos are going to be some more of my random shit. Like, next video coming out, Scale X video after that. Maybe I'm just going to do this dissociative stuff as like, this DID stuff as live streams possibly, because it's a bit easier for me this way. A bit more rambly and fun for me. And I like, you know, editing and fucking around with cool shit in my other videos when I can. Who knows? What up, BPD, bipolar gang? Take it easy, sleep well, and avoid the quacks. Love you all. Good night. PD out. I always forget that it doesn't end when I hit end stream.